If I were to ask you how many friends you have, you might be able to start counting and give me a genuine answer. Some of you might immediately know and say 3, 4, or 5. Some may say 0, and some may need time to count. But when I ask you that question, the immediate question that follows up in your brain is, well, what makes somebody my friend? Right? You're going to be going through the people that are in your life and determining whether or not you would count them as a friend, whether or not you would say that they're just a work acquaintance, whether or not they're actually somebody that you're close with, and how close they may actually be to you to determine how good of a friend they actually are. My point is the answer to the question how many friends you have is not a simple one, because you have to also know what constitutes a friend. Knowing somebody is a friend or not, it's not that parallel, right? Somebody is not either your friend or not your friend. They may be your friend, but they might not be as close of a friend as somebody else. And this brings up the point of today's video, is there are multiple different types of friends, and those people are going to impact your life in various ways. This entire video is going to be about a specific chapter, book 8, in Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, where he talks about 3 different types of friendship. The first being a friendship of utility, the second being a friendship of pleasure, and the third being a friendship of virtue. And every single person you know will fall into one of those categories if you count them as even being your friend. This is very useful in determining how close you are with somebody, because it's not that simple to know how close you are with somebody that's your friend. Obviously, your closest friends, it's easier, but somebody that you've just met or you've been friends with for years and haven't really, done much with outside of having a conversation here or there, it helps you categorize those people. Not in a bad way, but in a sense of, hey, this person's way closer to me than somebody else. And it also helps you understand how, number one, morality and friendship started and how that actually affects our society. The first friendship that Aristotle talks about is a friendship of utility. And you would more commonly know this today as somebody that you would describe as an acquaintance. Somebody that you do work with, somebody that helps you at school, somebody that you interact with maybe on a daily basis, but not somebody that actually, hangs out with you or does anything with you outside of the specific thing that you need them for and they need you for. You have an even trade-off. You provide them something and they provide you something in return. And this is obviously subconscious. You're not actively thinking about this all the time, but those are the majority of the friends that you have will fall into that category, because you know more acquaintances than you have friends, because you interact with people on a daily basis that you need to do things for, and they need to do things for you as well. I also want to say I'm going to explain all 3 of these friendships, and then I'm going to wrap back on why this even fucking matters, okay? So the second one is a friendship of pleasure. Now, what a friendship of pleasure is somebody that you like, but not in that way, right? Somebody that you may see as funny or good looking. You like specific attributes about that individual. You like hanging out with them. You do things together. You share a drink. You talk. You go bowling. They're your friend, right? Those are the people in your life that you are not deeply close with, but you would describe them as somebody that you hang out with on a weekly basis. They're your friend. And I don't mean in like a sexual manner. I mean, you're attracted to them on a personality basis, right? You like what they bring to the table outside of them helping you with classwork or your job or something like that. You think they're funny, right? You enjoy being around them. You enjoy telling stories to each other and watching movies. You have similar interests. You like them on a personal level. And the last one is a friendship of virtue. And these people are far and few between. You will meet or have 1, 2, maybe 3 friendships of virtue in your entire life. These are people that know you on a deep, genuine level. They push you to be a better person, and they are somebody that you genuinely believe makes you a better person. You need them in your life, and they need you. They are a utility friend. They are a pleasure friend, but they're beyond that, right? They are 3 in 1. They are somebody that you truly connect with, and vice versa. Friendships of virtue take abhorrent amounts of time to develop as well. You will never just spark up a friendship of virtue. They always start as a friendship of utility or a friendship of pleasure, or move up the ladder, right? Most people that you would be thinking about right now that you might say is a friendship of virtue, if you have one right now, is somebody that you've known since you were a child, right? You grew up with them and you understand each other through the struggles that you have been through your own personality changes. You have still held a bond, even if you both on an individual level don't match at surface value. You are friends. You are true friends. Now, quick side note, Aristotle butts in here and basically says that he's lying. There's more than 3 types of friendships. There are also other friendships that don't have equal standings, right? Friendships of utility, pleasure, and virtue are even trade-offs, right? You are 50-50 friends. There are different friendships, quote unquote, that exist in your life that you wouldn't even really count as a friend. Father and son, right? Mom and daughter, mom and son, father and daughter, right? Those are friendships that exist in your life where they are uneven, right? You might not describe them as uneven, but you owe a more love to your father or mother than they owe you. They're the reason you exist. You're not the reason they exist. So on a fundamental level, you are capable of loving your mom or your father more than they are of you. That's at least what Aristotle argues. You don't have to agree with anything I say in this video, obviously, but that's basically the argument that's being put forth. Another one is ruler and subject. That's the terms that are given, but more, akin to today's world, you would say your boss. You don't love your boss, but you have to have a higher appreciation for your boss than your boss does of you. You have to serve them in some way. The other one that he gives is husband and wife. I fucking hate that one because it's just, Aristotle living in a time fucking thousands of years ago where women were, seen as lower and the trade-off wasn't even. I think nowadays husband and wives love each other equally. I think that's just a bad point that he makes. Now, why the fuck does this matter? Because to be a complete self, you need friends. Aristotle says, for without friends, no one would choose to live, though he had all other goods. Now, Aristotle's not saying that to be a good person, you need friends. You can be a lonely, successful, good person with friends. All he's saying is that to be a complete human, right? Humans are innately social creatures, regardless of you being introverted, right? Having virtuous friends, having the last type of friend is something that makes your life whole. And it is very hard to get those friends, but it is something that people must strive towards. It is easier to build a pyramid with other people than building it alone. Now, I am going to contradict myself from previous videos. I tend to say all the time that morality is something that exists with humans and humans alone. And it is a necessary illusion that is required for society to exist. I'm not saying that morality is a bad thing. I'm saying that it just is not real outside of people, right? And I'm still going to stick by that in the sense that I think that morality is something that is only recognized by humans. But morality is rooted in friendships of utility, not just within human-to-human relationships, but also with human to other animals. Humans and dogs is a great example. Going way back, right? I'm not even talking now where if you were to kill a dog, yeah, people would be like, that's fucked up. But I'm saying you go way back, right, where humans and dogs interact with each other. If you gain something out of that animal, you are going to deem them as a friend subconsciously, even if you don't recognize it, right? Obviously, dogs are named as man's best friend. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but my point is that dogs and humans interact on a deeper level than an animal-to-animal basis, right? They are a utility friend. Your dog gives you some sort of value. In, caveman times or way back historically, they helped you hunt, they helped herd specific farm animals. They still do that today. But even now, on a deeper level, your dog, while they may not protect you or hunt for you, they give you a level of happiness, and in return, you give them food, you keep them alive in a house to sleep under. You have a trade-off with that animal that you don't have anywhere else. And now, obviously, culturally, some societies do kill dogs, and they don't see them as utility friends. But when you have a utility friendship with an animal, whether it be another human or a different species, you deem it as wrong to kill that animal. And that, I believe, is the start of morality within humans, is because if you value that individual, you attribute some sort of worth to them, and taking that value away is effectively, putting it bluntly, fucked up. Now, going back to early morality, like eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth era, where if you killed my son, I would go and I would kill your son. That is not something that is, coincidental. is what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that people did that because you're trading off utility as well. Obviously, it's a level of revenge behind it and a level of anger that you have towards that other individual, but it's also because you deem that person useful that they killed. If you had something that, was a part of your group, right? Say like a sheep or something that you didn't deem as useful and they killed it. Yeah, you might go kill their sheep, but you're not going to be as upset because that was not as useful to you. On a selfish level, humans are driven towards morality based on how something affects them. And even if it doesn't affect them specifically, we are still empathetic creatures. We are capable of understanding how somebody feels in a given situation, even if you are not actively experiencing it in that moment. It is also something to note that the only level of friendship you can have with another animal outside of humans is that of utility. You will not have any friendship with an animal on a deeper level for pleasure or for virtue outside of utility. Even your favorite dog that you've ever had, they will never surpass the first tier of friendship in your brain. In ancient Rome, it was very hard for kings to get their sons to listen. They were effectively snotty Nepo babies. They didn't want to do as they were told. They didn't want to do their job. They didn't want to do work. They didn't want to learn. They didn't want to listen, right? And how they would try to get these people to listen, how they would try to get these king's sons to listen, is they would get another child to befriend the king's son, and they would whip him every time the king's son disobeyed, because it was a rule that you were not allowed to hurt or lay a hand on the king's son. So instead, they would get another person to befriend the king's son and punish him every time the king's son messed up. Now, the whipping boy was obviously paid, and this was something that he had to endure, and it was terrible. But the idea behind this was that you would recognize the morality in the friendship, and the king's son would act better because he felt the pain that his friend was experiencing. You care about people. You care about people you care about. Circular argument here, but that's putting it bluntly. Through caring about your friends, morality exists. When you have friendships of utility and you have friendships of pleasure and you have, virtue later on, when you interact with people and you become close to them, that is what ingrains a set of moral values in you, because when you see something bad happen to them that you wouldn't want to happen to yourself, it aggravates you and it gives you a set of universal principles that you or a society begins to live upon, because it's not as simple as, previous times where it's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. If it doesn't happen to you, you don't care because you like that person and you don't want to see them suffer, because seeing them suffer is effectively you suffering yourself. It is also to be noted, and this is very specific for guys as well, because guys tend to hang out in groups more than women. Gaining a friendship of virtue is much harder in a group. If you are a guy thinking about your friend group right now, you probably know 6-7 guys. You may be a friendship of virtue with one of them or none of them. Because when you hang out in a group, you can never truly understand an individual on a deeper level unless you meet and talk with them alone, because that is where you truly get to understand somebody on a deeper level. A friendship of virtue also doesn't have to agree with you on everything. They just have to know what you think. Not about your specific sports team or your favorite food. They need to know what happens or what you think happens when you die. They need to know what you think politically. They need to know what you think religiously. Now, it's not something that you should just go and word vomit out to them in hopes that they'll become a virtuous friend. It's something that happens naturally. But you can never be a virtuous friend with somebody that you don't know on a deep level. What makes that person tick? If you know if you can think of a friend in your brain right now where you understand them on that level and they understand you on that level as well, then you are more likely a virtuous friend with them than somebody that you just like going to the bar with. Another point that needs to be made is that Aristotle says that bad people can inherently not have friendships of virtue because they need to gain something out of the individual. And friendships of virtue, it is a dead even trade-off. You make each other better. And most people that are bad, not most, bad people, Aristotle says, are only capable of having friendships of utility and pleasure because they want to gain something out of the individual in front of them. They are not wanting to give in return. Now, obviously, they may, but not on an equal level. I really believe that morality is rooted in language and friendship. I think that's how it formed historically. I think people were able to grasp what they believed on a more universal level on how things that didn't affect them still made them feel based on how they developed friendships with other people. But yeah, I don't really know. This is kind of a rant just about friendship. I don't know. I kind of want to just film like really niche, random fucking topics. A lot of this is going to be, you know, fucking random topics I'm reading about currently or stuff that I had to take classes on or write papers on in college, you know, last year before. But let me know what you think. Let me know if, how many virtuous friends you have, how many utility and pleasure-based friends you have outside of that. I hope you guys had fun watching this video. I don't really know the exact point that I'm trying to make. It's more so just a general rant about, you know, you recognizing the value of the people that are in your life and also the root of how friendships even began. But yeah, appreciate y'all, and I will catch y'all on the next one.